FI Bcom Semester 1, Subject Economics. Today's our topic is indifference curve and characteristics of indifference curve. First I am explain meaning of indifference curve. An individual consumer can compare various combinations of any two commodities on the basis of the scale of preferences. One such combination may yield to him more or less satisfaction than the other. It may as well yield to him equal satisfaction. In the latter case, we can say that consumer is indifferent between these two combinations. We can easily imagine many such combinations of two commodities which yield the same amount of satisfaction to the consumer. An indifference schedule is one which shows all those combinations of two goods which yields the same amount of satisfaction to the consumer. Indifference curve explained with the help of table and graph also. First of all, I explaining to table, and after I am explaining, and after I will explain graph. In a table we have three columns. First column, the name is combination. Second column, the name is any commodity like A commodity, B commodity, if you put that things, or you putting to the commodity name like apples, oranges, any one, you are right that things. I'm putting into oranges, and third is defined to the apples. Combination defined to the 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in the first column. Oranges 20, 16, 13, 11 and 10. And last column apples 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. It means if you are selecting to the combination 1, they are defined to that thing consumer, they are buying to the 20 unit of orange and 1 unit of the apple. If you are selecting to the combination 2, so they are defined to that thing consumer selecting to 16 oranges and 2 apples. If you are selecting combination 3, that time they are defined to that thing we are selecting to the 13 unit of oranges and 3 unit of the apple. If we are selecting to the combination 4, they are defined to the we are selecting 11 oranges and 4 apples. In 5 combination, they are defined to that thing we are selecting to the 10 unit of oranges and 5 unit of apple. It means if as a consumer you are selecting to the any one combination, they both are giving to the same satisfaction. But in that situation, you are showing that thing if you are decreasing oranges unit, that time apples unit will be improved. It means one is decrease and other one is increase. So they are defined to the if you are improving more unit of the apple, buying to the more unit of the apple, you are getting to the less oranges. That's why they having to the inverse relation. दोनों के बीच में इनवर्स रिलेशन देखने को मिलेगा. इट मीन्स के कंज्यूमर ए दे आर सिलेक्टिंग टू द 1 कॉम्बिनेशन, कंज्यूमर बी दे आर सिलेक्टिंग टू द 4 कॉम्बिनेशन, बट दे बोथ आर गेटिंग टू द सेम सेटिस्फेक्शन बिकॉज ऑफ द रीजन के indifference curve they are defined to that thing if you are selecting to the any combination, they all point they are giving to the same satisfaction. That's why they are known as a indifference curve. Okay, after I am explaining to the graph, In a graph or a figure, x-axis defined to the apple units and y-axis defined to the oranges unit. Apple unit we are putting in a table 1 2 3 4 and 5, so you are putting to the x-axis 1 2 3 4 5, and y-axis we are selecting to the orange, so we are putting to the 10 11 13 16 and 20 units. After in that figure, if we are getting to the one apple, in that time orange is we are selecting to the 20, we are putting to the 1 point in that situation. If we are in increasing apple unit 1 to 2, so in that time oranges unit they are decreased 20 to 16, in that point we are putting to the one combination, and we are putting to the point, and after the all point we are getting after one curve. The name is indifference curve, and it is not a straight line but it is a half circle line, so they are count as a indifference curve. We cannot making a graph as a straight line, but we are making a graph as a like a moon shape, half moon shape, so that is known as a our indifference curve. I am explaining to the graph. Each of the above combination yield the same amount of satisfaction to the consumer. Taking orange on the y-axis and apple on the x-axis, we draw an indifference curve as a like a figure. An indifference curve, the consumer is indifferent among the combinations indicated by points on this indifference curve. All of this combination yield equal satisfaction to the consumer, so this curve is called equiutility curve. The consumer is indifferent among these combinations. This curve is also known as indifference curve. This is refined to the meaning of indifference curve only. After, our second topic is characteristics of indifference curve. There are four characteristics of indifference curve. One by one I am explaining that. First point is an indifference curve slope down from left to right. Second one is indifference curve is convex to the origins. Third one is indifference curve cannot intersect to each other, and fourth one is indifference curves levels, they are giving to the different satisfaction. These four is characteristics of indifference curve. I am explaining one by one. First one is indifference curve slope down from the left to right. Our indifference curve, the slope is negative. One commodities unit is improved, in that time second commodities unit is decreased, that's why they having to the negative relation, that's why their slope is negative slope. In the same way, indifference curve slope down from left to right. A indifference curve is derived by the joining various points which represent combination of two commodities showing equal satisfaction to this consumer. It is obvious that when one of the two commodities is increased, the other should diminishing in order to keep the total satisfaction at the same level. If 10x plus 1y indicates to a particular level of satisfaction, 10x plus 2y must indicate higher level of satisfaction. When one more unit of y is added, some unit of x to be diminished in the level of total satisfaction is to be maintained. This reasoning is at the root of the downward sloping indifference curve. Let us prove this by reduction method. Indifference curve is not downward sloping when they are the alternatives. First one is indifference curve can be horizontal straight line, they cannot count as a indifference curve. Second is indifference curve can be a vertical straight line, so we cannot saying it is a indifference curve. Third one is an indifference curve can be upward sloping, they also cannot known as a indifference curve. There are three possibilities are indicated in the diagram. First of all, we are drawing to the indifference curve is horizontal line or a straight line of similar to baseline, means के similar to x axis. X defined to the unit of apple, y defined to the unit of oranges, and we are drawing to the one straight line like a baseline, and we are putting to the some point a and c in a curve, and b and d it is the defined to the x axis. Explanation of figure. At the point A on the indifference curve, the consumer has AB of orange and OB of apple. He moves from point A to from point C. He has CD of oranges and OD of apple. It means AB equal to CD. He has the same number of oranges as before, but his supply of apple has increased. This means that at point C, our consumer gets more satisfaction than at point A. But this is clearly observed because all points of an indifference curve show equal satisfaction. A and C cannot be on the same indifference curve. An indifference curve cannot be a horizontal straight line. It is always half moon shaped curve or a half circle. Second graph or second condition is indifference curve can be a vertical straight line. It means it cannot be similar to y axis. X defined to the apples, y defined to the oranges in a same figure like a first figure. We are putting to the straight line and we are putting to the 2 point A and C, and y axis we are putting to the B and D. In that figure, indifference curve is thought to be a vertical straight line. It can be easily seen that point C shows higher level of satisfaction and then point A because at point C the combination is CB plus OB. At point A the combination is AB plus OB. This is absurd. An indifference curve cannot be a vertical line. Last point is indifference curve cannot be upward slope. The figure is x defined to the apples, y defined to the unit of oranges, and we are drawing to the right to left one curve and putting to the 2 point A and C in a curve, and B and D putting to the x axis. After I am explaining to the figure, point C indicate a combination of two commodities yield more satisfaction than point A. At point A, the combination of two commodities is AB plus OB, and at point C it is defined to the CD plus OD. Clearly, when both the commodities are increased, the consumer gets more satisfaction, but then 2 points cannot lie on the same indifference curve. An indifference curve cannot be upward sloping from left to right. Process of elimination, we arrived at the conclusion that an indifference curve is downward sloping from left to right. Second characteristic then is indifference curve is convex to the origins. If we look at in an indifference curve from the origin, it is convex. This convexity of an indifference curve is the direct consequence to diminishing marginal rate of substitution. Consider with the two figure. First one is an indifference curve is not convex to the origins. It would be a downward sloping straight line as in one figure I explain after that. In would be convex to the origin as in second figure. We are drawing to, I am explaining to figure 1. It is a straight line, x defined to the units of apples, y defined to the units of oranges, and we are drawing to the one straight line. It is a downward slope, and we are putting to the some point A, B, C, D, and putting to the x axis E, F, and G. After they are this is the figure, and I am explaining that figure. Consumer moves along the curve from A to B, C, and D. He substitutes oranges for apples. He has less and less oranges and more apples. But let it be noted that here the marginal rate of substitution is constant. AE equal to BF equal to CG. For every additional unit of apples, he is giving away the same number of oranges, but is his consistent with the normal behavior of the consumer. The MRS is normally diminishing, but it is shown as constant. A normal indifference curve cannot be a downward sloping straight line. Second figure is, it is not a convex. X defined to the apples, Y defined to the oranges, and we are drawing to the half circle. The face is origins, and we are putting to the some point in a graph ABCD, and we are putting to the some point EFG in a x-axis. In this figure, MRS is increased. Note that CG greater than BF greater than AE. Is it possible that individual will go on giving away more and more of oranges for obtaining every additional unit of apples? Normally, he would not do so, since increasing MRS in abnormal convex indifference curve is also abnormal. A normal indifference curve cannot be convex to the origins. We arrive at the conclusion that an indifference curve is convex to the origin. This is shown after we are drawing to the one graph. It is convex line, x defined to the apples, y defined to the oranges unit, and we are drawing to the half moon circle, and they are convex in origins, and we are putting to the some point in a curve ABCD, and we are putting to the some point in a x axis EFG. In that figure, CG less than BE less than AE. This means that less and less number of oranges are given away for obtaining additional unit of apples. The MRS is diminishing and indifference curve is convex to the origins. The third characteristic is two indifference curve can not intersect to each other. It means that if we draw two or more indifference curve, there would be no common point between any two of them. In order to prove this proposition, let us suppose that two indifference curve intersect. If we can prove that two intersecting indifference curve, our proposition would be validated. I am explaining first of graph x defined to the units of apples, y defined to the unit of oranges, and we are putting to the two indifference curve. Both are intersect to each other. The name is IC1 and second one is IC2. We are putting to the sum point if in which point they are intersect to each other. The point name is A, and IC1 curve we are putting to the one point, the name is B, and IC2 we are putting to the one point, the name is C. Okay, I am explaining to the graph. A and B point are on the same indifference curve IC1. IC2 curve is higher than IC1. Point C on IC2 curve, they are giving to the more satisfaction than point B on IC1 curve, but point B and point A being on the same indifference curve IC1 show the same satisfaction. Point C shows more satisfaction than point A, but these 2 points are again on the same indifference curve IC2. If they are on the same indifference curve, how can they show difference level of satisfaction? It is absurd. Point A cannot be common point in the two curves. They cannot intersect each other. Our last characteristic is indifference curve represent different level of satisfaction. The higher the indifference curve, the greater is the satisfaction. In other words, any combination lying on a higher indifference curve gives greater satisfaction as compared to any combination lying on a lower indifference curve. We are drawing to the figure x defined to the apples, y defined to the oranges. Here drawing to the first indifference curve, and second one is you are drawing to the upward side of the IC1. They are defined to that thing. Okay, if you are getting to the some commodity with the IC1 curve, they are giving to the less satisfaction, and if you are selecting to the any combination in IC2 curve, they are giving to the maximum satisfaction comparison to IC1. it means that if we are going to the upward side of the indifference curve, they are giving to the maximum satisfaction compared to the lower indifference curve. That is our characteristics of indifference curve.